Luis Diaz is set to leave the Premier League for the Bundesliga. A transfer bombshell is about to explode. Arsenal are closing in on a Dutch wonderkid. Talks with his agent are already going well. Marcus Rashford to Barcelona? The deal is reportedly all but agreed. Tottenham hijack. PSG's move for Zabarnyi. Spurs are ready to meet the asking price. All that and loads more in today's episode. But before we get into it, as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Ready? Let's jump into the latest transfer rumours. Marcus Rashford to Barcelona. One of the most out-of-the-blue transfers this summer is hitting the home straight right now. The Catalans have struck a deal with Manchester United for a loan of the English forward, with an option to buy next season. A move that looked dead in the water just a couple of weeks back is starting to slot together like a perfect jigsaw for Barça and for Rashford himself. So, according to a stack of proper sources, from The Athletic to David Ornstein, the Blaugrana have fired off a proposal through middlemen to United's offices. Loan for 1 season, by option at 30 to 35 million euros. The Red Devils, surprisingly, didn't drag their feet and gave it the nod, even though they were after a straight 50 million up front at first. Why the turnaround? Because even in Manchester, they've clocked on. Keeping an outcast in the squad, a player who's not delivering anymore and wants out himself, that's a rotten plan. And it's not just about Rashford's form. This is a tale of crisis, trust issues, fallout with fans, the boss and the press. He's not cracking a smile at Old Trafford these days. Barcelona? That's a shot at a full reset. And get this, the deal's not just a steal, it's cleverly put together. Barça are skint as usual, but they've hashed out a compromise. The club's covering 100% of his wages. Sounds generous? Here's the twist. Marcus himself has agreed to slash his pay by nearly a third. Was on 18 million euros a season, now down to about 10. Sacrifices like that in modern footy? Rare as hen's teeth. But it just shows how desperate the striker is to bail on England and start fresh. By the way, Hansi Flick's already had a chinwag with Rashford personally and reckoned he's our man. The German was after someone for the left flank, but with the flexibility to slot in up top too. And that fits the Englishman's skill set bang on. Versatility, pace, ball control, and knack for getting in behind defenders. It all meshes with Flick's setup. Left wing's been a sore spot for Barca since Neymar's days. And here's Rashford, bags of experience but with expectations dialed down, so a real chance to shock everyone. Especially since Lewandowski turns 37 in August and the Polish old-timers hardly up for 90 minutes every weekend. Rashford could handle the flank or even play false 9, spot on against quicker sides. Another key bit, Marcus is almost nailed on to link up with the squad for the pre-season jaunt to Japan and South Korea. Medicals coming up any day. After that, the club's eyeing more market moves, offload the deadwood, sort registrations for new lads in La Liga, and finally unveil the revamped Blau attack. It's not Galacticos level mind, but it's a sensible footy step. Low risk, clear thinking, high upside. If Rashford gets back to even 70% of his 2022-23 self, Barca bag a top player on the cheap. If it flops, just ship him back. So crank up the volume. You're watching one of the biggest comebacks in European footy unfold right now. Marcus Rashford's off to Barcelona. And he's got plenty to prove. Galatasaray are seriously gunning for EDERSON. The Turks have put in an official inquiry for the Manchester City keeper. Let's be straight, an offer of 3 million euros for one of Europe's top goalies. That's not even a proper bid, more like testing the waters. But the interest itself says a lot. Looks like EDERSON's era at the Etihad is really winding down. Galatasaray are after a replacement for Fernando Muslera, and they need someone with a name, experience, and ideally a trophy cabinet to match. EDERSON's the perfect fit. The Brazilians clocked over 370 games in City's net, racked up nearly 170 clean sheets, and played a massive part in all Pep's silverware. He's the keeper who redefined the role, not just saving shots, but starting attacks, playing like a third centre-back. And now, Gala are offering 3 million euros for him. Sorry, that's like rocking up to a Ferrari showroom with a rusty bike and a bag of crisps going, "I'll take it." City's reaction hasn't come out yet, but they're hardly jumping for joy. EDERSON's market value is at least 20 million right now, even at his age. The Brazilian's 31, prime for a keeper, and there are way richer suitors on the horizon. Saudi sides like Al Nassr and Al Ittihad have been eyeing Ederson for ages and are ready to splash proper cash for the club and the player. The Turks aren't offering big bucks, but a sporting project. And word is that's the bit that's caught Ederson's eye, a chance to play Champions League again, lead a big club and stay in European footy. The Brazilian hasn't commented officially yet, but if Galatasaray are already tabling a concrete transfer bid, it means they're confident he's up for the move. On top of that, the Turks have apparently offered Ederson €7 million a year, decent wedge, especially compared to Super League wages. If that's true, the club's dead serious. Folks, don't leave the video without reacting, it really helps the channel. Thumbs up or down, ideally now, and drop a comment. We'd be chuffed. Meanwhile, City's not snoozing. Rumours say they've got Diogo Costa in their sights, Porto's main man and Portugal's #1. This is a keeper who can take the heat. Young at 25, technical, cool as a cucumber, great with his feet, basically tailor-made for Pep's style. Price? €50 million. Yeah, not 3 million, but it's an investment for the long haul. If Ederson's deal goes through, it's a signal. Guardiola's kicking off another rebuild in earnest. And now the club's even eyeing a refresh of the basics. Says loads about the gaffer's plans for next season. So if Ederson heads to Istanbul, City go for Costa. And if Saudi Arabia jumps in for Ederson, Gala will have to stump up serious dough or scramble for plan B fast. Either way, this ain't just gossip anymore. It's the start of some big shifts. Galatasaray have made the first move. Now it's over to City. If you've somehow lost track of Xavi Simons, snap back to it quick. Because this lad could be the next big nail in the summer transfer window coffin. As Caught Offside reports, the agents of the 22-year-old Dutchman have already reached out to 3 London clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea and Tottenham. And it's not just a casual fancy a coffee vibe. Preliminary talks are underway. The asking price, €60 million. In today's market, that's hardly astronomical, but for a player like him, it could be a right smart investment. Of course, there's another smart punt, subbing to the channel. But why bother? Way more fun typing the name into search every time, risking missing a new vid. That thrill of the chase, the uncertainty, I get it. But if you fancy some stability, the button's down there somewhere. And Simons, mind you, banged in 14 goals and 11 assists across all comps last season. Proper top draw stuff, especially for a bloke who's not a pure striker, but an attacking mid with number 10 duties, winger vibes, and who knows what else. As for the interest, it's not just from the clubs. Xavi himself wouldn't mind a switch to the Premier League, or more precisely, to a bigger outfit. Makes sense, really. RB Leipzig's a cracking launchpad for growth, but not the ceiling. Now, the runners in the race. Chelsea have a gaping hole in creativity right now. Mudryk sidelined with doping issues, Madueka's off to Arsenal, and Simons could be that vital link between midfield and attack. Fits the project too. Young, mobile, skillful. Tottenham, meanwhile, are properly revamping their forward line. And with Xavi versatility, Thomas Frank gets to shuffle him under Son Heung-min out wide or in the engine room. That extra flex the Spurs attack has sometimes lacked. Then Arsenal. That's where it gets tasty. Arteta's side looked a bit too by the book in some games last season. All neat, tidy, methodical, but sometimes predictable. Simons. He's that dash of chaos for the good. Could add explosive edge, directness, and off-the-cuff moves. Mind, the competition's fierce, so Arsenal better hurry if they're serious. 'Cause if Chelsea or Tottenham nip in first, that'll sting. And yeah, there are more suitors. Man United and even Newcastle are glancing over, but keeping Sturm for now. Barcelona? You'd think they'd be in, but nah, classic them. Interest, yes. Cash, no. So, keep an eye out. Simons ain't one to let slip. What do you reckon? Where's his best fit? Whose shirt suits him? Chelsea, Arsenal or Tottenham? Chuck your thoughts in the comments. Be good to see where folks stand. Ilya Zabarnyi, on Tottenham's radar, but he's already glancing towards the Eiffel Tower. At first, it seemed like Ilya Zabarnyi had properly settled at Bournemouth and wasn't rushing anywhere. Yeah, 22 years old, only joined 2 years back, but everything changes when Paris Saint-Germain come knocking. The Ukrainians had 2 really solid seasons in the Prem, No massive hype, but maximum impact. And now there's a queue of 3 top clubs lining up, with Tottenham ready to slap down the full 70 million euros Bournemouth are asking. Here's the situation. Zabarnyi a potential replacement for Christian Romero if the Argentine decides to bail. Spurs are scouting ahead, and Zabarnyi ticks all the boxes. Tough, composed, not shy in challenges, and he fits the club's style bang on. Aggressive defending and building out from the back with short passes. But it's not all up to Spurs. Zabarnyi himself isn't thrilled about jumping to another English club. Tottenham, no offence to the fans, isn't quite the glamorous showcase PSG is. The Parisians have already chucked in a few bids, around 60 million euros, but Bournemouth held firm, full whack or nothing. Now, according to Court Offside and Di Marzio, Tottenham are set to top that. Word is they're prepping not just the base 70 million, but bonuses on top. Proper serious. Key point, Liverpool and Chelsea are hovering too. The Reds are just watching for now, thinking about Konate's future. Blues have him on the list for a long-term backline rebuild. But no real moves, only Spurs and PSG in the thick of it. Interesting that Bournemouth get it. Keeping the lad will be tough, especially if PSG lob in a final hefty offer, and rumours say it's coming. Sources close to the player reckon Zabarnyi got his sights set on a League One switch. Fair play, ambitious bloke. Playing in a league with Donnarumma behind you and Dembele up front, dream for loads. On the flip, Spurs offer steady Prem action, a setup he knows and a starting spot pretty much nailed on. At PSG, the competition's on another level, so if it was just down to Spurs, the deal'd be done. But now it's about who Zabarnyi picks, tried and tested Premier League or Paris glamour. One thing's clear, he wants out, just a question of where. It seems Luis Diaz is proper on the outs, one of the rare ones who's been reliably terrorising full-backs down the flank, and it looks like his Anfield days are numbered. Hate to make a meal of it, but you can smell the transfer brewing, and it's not your classic fish supper, more bratwurst and beer vibes. Cos Diaz is seriously eyeing a move to Bavaria, not the area, like the footy side. Latest scoops from Fichajes and a load of German rags say Luis has sorted a rough deal with Bayern Munich personally. 14 million euros a pop yearly, contract to 2029. 4 years of the high life, where Bayern bigwigs see him not just starting, but as the next superstar in the making. Aye, right. In Liverpool, he's part of the crew. In Munich, he's the main event. Bayern fancying Diaz. Old hat, that. Their suits have been drooling over the Colombian for yonks, and they've picked their moment. He's put in a transfer request. Textbook stuff. Liverpool ain't selling willingly, but the lads said, fancy a change. Cue the bartering. Munich have lobbed 68 million euros over, but the Reds are standing firm. 80 upwards or no dice. Deal's basically in the bag, just the dosh left. Funny bit, Bayern don't want to empty the piggy bank straight off, but they're hoping Diaz's itch to play and the matey ties with Liverpool seal it cheaply. Pull the other one. Mané all over again. Germans are cocky now. Player wants out, job's a good un. Hot off build and sky, brass from both clubs meeting soon. That's halfway to signatures. This Diaz saga, body at Anfield, mind in Munich. It's like some punters watching my vids. You're tuned in. You're back for more. It's gripping, but no sub yet. Don't pull a Luis and Scarpa for pastures new. Prime content's here already. Subbing ups like that boardroom nudge. Sort this bloke a fresh contract. So why's he off? Numbers look mint. 50 appearances, 25 goals and assists. Locked in under slot. 2 years on the deal. What's the beef? Well, scratch the surface. Anfield's revamping the front line. Germans reckon Bayern's dangled a starring role, bigger than Liverpool's offer. Diaz slots right into Company's revamp, what with Musiala crocked. Colombians got bags of adaptability, either wing, cut inside, even sit deeper. Perfect fit for a team crying out for injection. Mind, there's a spanner. Barça are lurking. Those lot adore nicking deals late on. But Bayern hurry it up, and no one's crashing in. Comes down to Munich's wallet strength. Bottom line, Diaz move ain't hypothetical, it's timing. He fancies it, buyers do, Liverpool caves for the right price. Big loss, aye. But footy's like that. Chapters close, new ones open. Credit where due, Diaz merits the upgrade, and if Bayern's his pick, send him off nicely. Especially if the fee's tidy.